Hey dreamers, this is Anisha Jennings, a fellow immigrant and an entrepreneur. From being an engineer in India to building my tech business in the US, I've lived the journey you're on. Welcome to Your American Dream podcast, where we turn immigrant challenges into superpowers. Are you feeling out of place, struggling with a job hunt, or simply missing home? I've been there, and I'm here to guide you through it. In each episode, we'll dive into real stories, practical advice, and mindset that will help you write your unique success story. From navigating cultural differences to building a purposeful life, I've got you covered. So if you're ready to turn your immigrant experience into your greatest strength, let's dive in. Your American dream starts now. Welcome to Your American Dream. I'm Anisha Jennings, and today I'm so excited to welcome Jocabed Botello-Avelar, founding and managing attorney of Global Immigration Connection. Born and raised in Long Beach, California, to immigrant parents from Mexico, Jocabed holds dual citizenship with Mexico and has dedicated her career to immigration law and advocacy. Her journey began through nonprofit work and teaching citizenship classes before serving as USCIS officer adjudicating O&P visa classifications. Today, she helps clients navigate complex immigration pathways, including O, P, and EB-1A petitions, while bringing both legal expertise and personal understanding to every case. Welcome, Jocabed. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me and inviting me on your show.
You're welcome. My pleasure. So, tell our listeners a little bit about how your journey started, and did you always know you wanted to be in law?
I was really always drawn to immigration advocacy. And I think it started back like when I was in high school, and we had like our first like walkout for an immigration bill. And that's really kind of like the beginning because I was really drawn to like leadership, and I got heavily involved in college with student government. I was involved with MECHA, and it just like kind of like one of those things that you just feel passionate about. And I started getting opportunities in that area, which is when I first started doing like the nonprofit work, and I got the opportunity to teach citizenship classes. And I felt so drawn to it that it just kind of like felt natural, like it felt right. It's just one of those things that you just feel peace when you do it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So tell us more about, what happened after.
And what happened after? Well, after I got involved where I was in ASI and I was in MECHA, and I had a really good community in my undergrad, which was great, at Dominguez Hills with our department in Chicano Studies, which is how I got involved like with the nonprofit work and how I got involved with teaching citizenship classes. I was like in between. I was a poli-sci major, so I was in between, do I go into public service or do I go into law school? I chose law school, and the opportunities just came through to also do more like legal work. And I started looking for more opportunities in that area as well. And I felt like it was just right. Like, it was something I actually just personally just prayed about, whether that was like the move that was like right for me and if it was like God's will for me as well. I felt the peace from God to pursue it. And it was obviously a difficult journey. But after that, when I got into law school, that's kind of like where the difficulties started. Law school was very, very difficult for me. When I was in law school, like I found out that I like had a learning disability, and I started to struggle in law school. And law school was just kind of like a learning of getting to know myself again.
Wow.
It was a journey of getting to know myself, knowing what my weaknesses were and how to turn them into strengths.
Wow.
And I went on a journey of doing that kind of research and knowing myself and what would make me better, whether that was modifying my diet, doing more exercise, creating study habits that were good for me. And it was a journey of like becoming a better version of myself, which was way different than undergrad. Because
Right.
my undergrad was like, advocacy and like, doing stuff for my community and for my campus and stuff. And I really enjoyed those things.
Right.
And then law school was just completely different because it just kind of like took me back of getting to know myself in a whole nother way.
Wow. Wow.
And
So your parents are immigrants.
yes.
So tell us a little bit about your early life. Like, what did that look like, and how has being child of immigrants shaped your life?
So being the child of immigrants really shaped my life in the way that, like, at least for me, my parents never forgot where they came from.
Hmm.
I didn't really have this experience where I super assimilated
Mm,
to American life because my dad and my mom were always like, we are Mexican, you guys are going to speak Spanish. And also because we went to Mexico a lot growing up. Like
mm,
my dad used to always take me and my sisters, and it was like if I didn't speak Spanish, I can't hang out and have a good time with my cousins.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I was never shamed, like, I never felt a shame in speaking Spanish, I never felt a shame in my roots, because I know other people have different experiences like that. I
Yeah.
never felt a shame for it because it was so part of my life. Yeah, like, the food, the culture, the speaking Spanish, and going to Mexico and hanging out with my cousins and just having a good time.
Yeah, yeah. So what do you think are like, certain things about like immigrants that help us navigate and assimilate and like, power through our careers?
I think the journey, my dad was always very clear about his journey coming to the United States and his dreams for us, that it really empowered me.
Hmm.
It really empowered me because he was always so open about his journey and the struggles that he had and how he overcame them.
Hmm.
So he always pushed us to be that way, you know? I think that when I started like struggling in law school, he was like kind of like my main supporter in that area because every time I kind of dealt with like a failure or anything like that, he always kind of like told me like, well, in this life we came to struggle and we just
Yeah.
kind of have to keep pushing because
I love.
that's just kind of like how life works, and we have to find our way to empower ourselves to keep on going, to find the strength to keep on going.
Hmm. Hmm. So you spoke about having difficulties in law school. Can you tell our listeners if there's somebody who is currently in law school and, maybe struggling with some aspects of it, tell us a little more about how did you figure out what are like good study habits and how did you navigate your challenges?
So I navigated my challenges basically with my relationship with God was always kind of like at the center. And no matter what, like I always fell back to prayer and asking God, like, what do I do in this situation? How
Mm.
do I seek wisdom in trying to overcome the challenges that I had? Because during law school, like, I found that out. I found out that I had a learning disability, and I started reading books in that area to try to better myself and create better study habits. And I read a really good book on how to, make your brain work better. It's a book by Jim Quick. And also, I went through a lot of personal things too, as well, because during law school, my law school closed down while we
Oh,
were at law school.
wow.
So our mental health was suffering throughout all law school because we weren't even sure if we were going to even graduate.
Wow. Oh
And
my gosh.
also, my second year of law school, like my dad had a heart attack as well. And
That's a lot.
he got diagnosed with cancer 2 months right after that. My father died my last semester of law school.
I'm so sorry to hear that.
Yeah, so I had to just navigate that whole thing. And luckily, I had, a group of people who prayed for me and who were there for me during that time
Right.
because it was very difficult. Because law school in itself is already a difficult task. It's not
Right.
easy to go through, like, it's drains, every part of you, it
Right.
breaks your spirit in
Wow.
every way possible. It just does that to you. It's just a very difficult program, and on top of that, having to deal with a lot of extra things as well,
Right.
like having to navigate that, having to be there for my father. I just remember, like, I had an internship in downtown LA, and right after that internship, my dad was hospitalized at a close by hospital there, and because he was getting a surgery for his pancreatic cancer, he was getting a surgery, and I would go every day after that internship. I would go right afterwards just to like spend a few hours with him.
Yeah.
And I think the only times, even when he was there that summer of that internship, I still managed to go 5 days a week to the hospital. Well, twice a week, I still had classes here in Orange County, because that was in LA, where he was hospitalized, and the only reason I couldn't go twice a week and not go 7 days a week like I was wanted to is because it was physically impossible for me to go after class from Orange County to LA. But the other days, I was in LA every single day to make sure that I was there.
Wow. Wow. Sorry to hear that. And through all that, you still, like you said, your relationship with God was on top and center of all of it. So, talk us through a little bit about what was like a defining moment that you thought that I am going to pursue immigration law.
A defining moment, I think I was in college and I think I was doing like the citizenship classes and I was doing the nonprofit work. I think in the nonprofit world, well, like when I sat there and sat in the office and I got to, work with clients one on one, and I realized like this is the type of work that I want to do. It was just
Yeah.
fulfilling for
Yeah.
me.
So, with the citizenship
Hmm.
and with immigration and everything that you were doing, talk to us a little bit about, even if people are eligible to apply for citizenship, what are some of the challenges you see that people don't apply and stay on a green card for a long time and they just don't want to take that next step?
I think it's the fear. The number one is having the fear of having to take a test.
Mm,
Test taking the bar exam was like horrible for me. So I can see where people are coming from where, learning how to like learn a different type of history than you probably grew up learning.
yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Or, there are a lot of immigrants here that don't have an educational background as well. They
Right.
never went to school, so they're scared of taking a test because they're not very literate themselves.
Hmm.
They got their green card through some other way in like the 80s. I deal with like from the Latino communities. They got here in the 80s, but they don't come from backgrounds where they were educated. So they don't know how to study.
Mm. Mm.
They don't know how to study, they don't know how to learn. But I think to me, anything's possible as long as you put your like mind to it and you do it. But I try to do that with them where like, no, you can do this.
Yes,
You can learn these questions. You can answer these
absolutely.
questions, you know?
Yes. For sure. And once you like get into that learning and then you want to do it and to get on the other side of it is really definitely very fulfilling. So you started your journey in nonprofit and citizenship classes. How do you think those experiences shaped your mission?
It shaped my mission because it gave me a drive to pursue what I wanted to pursue. But also, God is the ultimate writer of our destinies. And like now, the majority of the work that I do is not even centered around like that type of work. It's centered around working with people with like extraordinary ability. And those experiences did shape me because now I have like this cultural competence to work
Hmm.
with people one on one and just analyze where they're coming from and try to be understanding and try to work with them on that level.
Hmm.
Whether it's someone on the extreme, which is super extraordinary, super successful, to the other extreme of people who probably never even went to elementary school and don't really know how to read and write. Because those are the type of clients that I have. I have two extremes.
Wow.
So
Hmm.
it's more like I have to navigate that personality, how to be patient with them, but also how to be patient with somebody who is very intellectual and has a lot of accolades to their name.
Right, right. So I think you're the first USCIS officer that I'm actually getting to speak to like this. So tell us a little bit about that journey, because most of our listeners are come from immigrant backgrounds or there are people listening who apply for visas and things like that. So what has your experience been as a USCIS officer and what are some misconceptions that people have and, how do you deal with like the panic? What would your advice be to people going through the process?
I didn't work with people one on one while I worked there. I adjudicated cases based on the merits, based on the evidence
Hmm.
that I saw.
Right.
And it was very interesting to like get to know this new world and how it works because now when I talk to people, it comes from a place of knowledge and insight.
Right.
So I can give my clients assurance and I can give them peace because like I know that at least if I'm taking on a client, like, I'm taking them on with confidence that I can get them approved
Mm-hmm.
instead of from a place where, like, what I see sometimes in the industries where they're just trying to sign up a client, you know? They're just trying to get a number in. For me, it's
Right.
not about that. The insight for me has helped me just get clients that I know that I can work with and that I know that I can get approved,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
they're not just like a number. So
Yeah.
that experience really, because these are normal people who are doing their
Yes.
jobs, these are
Absolutely.
normal people who are doing their jobs, and everybody has a different perspective on how they do their job
Yes.
and stuff. Everybody has their own set of ethics and personal like belief on how they should, do their jobs and stuff like that. So I always say like these are regular people.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Yes. Absolutely.
Cater to them, make their job easy.
Yes.
That's what
That
I
is
always
gonna
say.
be
Yeah, make their job easy, like, when I see, like, these are regular people, like, don't make it hard for them, like, when we do a case or when you approach
yes.
them, don't approach them like they're, like, these horrible people because they are normal people.
Yeah.
What?
Yes, that which was gonna lead me to my next question is what would be your advice for people preparing their documents and submitting paperwork, right? Like what would be your advice that you have seen some like missing documents or missing information or missing evidence? What would be your advice to make the officer's life easier?
Um, be very organized, do everything completely
Mhm.
organized in a way that's like my favorite analogy is pretend like you're presenting something to a 5-year-old. Make it
Mhm.
that easy. And I don't have children. I have nieces and nephews, but it really should be that easy. You shouldn't have to like dig through things or make it hard. Do everything, like outline everything, do everything very neat. And
Mhm.
don't like leave a bunch of information out. Make sure that everything's complete.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And also, what would be your advice for people who, want to go through an immigration attorney or a lawyer, but they can't afford it? So they end up doing things on their own, or sometimes it's successful, sometimes it's not. What would be your advice in this situation?
In this situation, I mean, I know a lot of people who even come to me and I take them like on an hourly where they want to do things on their own and I review stuff on with my hourly rate. If I have time, I'll do stuff like that just because I know that there's people who want to do stuff on their own. But, I've also seen people mess up their cases that way as well. And they come to me after they've already messed up. So always consult with an attorney about like what are the avenues for your case to make sure you're filling out the correct paperwork because filing incorrect forms can lead you into, possible deportations or, just getting your case denied and having to start all over. And it's costing you more at that point.
Yeah,
Fix
yeah,
those
for sure. So, what led you to start your own practice?
Right after I passed the bar, I went straight into starting my own practice. I went to it. I think my dad owned a business growing up, and it was always in my heart to have my own practice and manage and speak to clients the way I knew that like God wanted me to speak to clients and be patient and like loving. So it just kind of felt natural to me to do that.
Awesome. So when you started your own practice, did you have team? How did you start and what were some of the challenges or things you wish you knew, like you know now that you wish you knew before starting your practice?
So I started my practice completely on my own, just completely. I didn't have a team. I didn't have anything. I didn't know what it was going to be like.
Mhm.
So I just kind of like went with it. I was like, what if I fail the first 6 months? What if, it just doesn't work out? I don't know. I just kind of like stepped into an unknown and it just worked out. But I think that what I wish I would have known is I should have like probably hired an accountant right away. Because dealing with taxes is very difficult. Dealing with that was very difficult. Learning how to manage, the workload because I kind of just hit the ground running. And since I didn't know whether I was going to fail or not, and since it didn't go that way, I didn't know that I was going to get as much work as I actually attracted the first
Mhm.
year.
So how did you manage with managing all that workload and also like,
Well,
balancing your personal life?
I burned myself out. Yeah, the first
Okay.
year. Yeah, I did because I didn't know how to manage it. So I did burn out and I just kind of kept on going. I still got things done. It was just,
Right.
working all day every day. When you have a business, well, you're even I was working on Sundays all day,
Yes.
a
Yes.
full day trying to get things done. So yeah, that was hard. Now it's so much better because I have employees, and stuff to help me through the whole thing. I did figure out to try to balance myself, like
Hmm.
the things that I know that really help me are like hiking and going to the beach, spending time with God,
Yes.
spending time with God in prayer and just really learning how to rest.
Yes.
When my body is like giving out and knowing how to rest so that I could like wake up early the next day and just get things done. So learning it was that was a learning curve, learning how to
Yes.
rest. Uh-huh.
God rested on the seventh day after
Yes.
he did.
Oh,
So
exactly. Exactly. God, he designed it that way,
yes.
but sometimes we don't
It
we
does.
don't
Yeah.
design our time that way.
Yes, for
So,
sure. So when you learned you are like burning out, and what was
mhm.
the point that you decided, okay, now I need to hire someone or get team?
It was like after my first year, I was just like, okay, I need to, because I had someone helping me from the beginning part time, but I was just like, I need full time. So yes, I just changed things up and I started like looking for help, and thank God he brought wonderful help, and that's the way we're navigating it now. Yeah,
Amazing.
God brought the right people. That's what.
Amen. Yeah. So tell us about what your practice offers, the services, and if somebody wants to reach out and work with you,
Mhm.
or has questions or wants some kind of consulting, how can they get into your world?
So if someone wants to do, I think the most people who come to me are for EB1 right now.
Okay.
I feel like they kind of like took over my practice, which is perfectly fine. They are amazing people. They are extraordinary. And I have an EB1A intake sheet in my website where they can fill out to see if they qualify. I also do O's and P's because I used to be an O and P officer. So I do those as well. And you can always contact me on my website or on my LinkedIn for those three categories, especially because those are the ones that I get like the most. Those are the most in demand. But I also do family based stuff, like I-601 waivers. I do lots of adjustments of status, and adjustments of status entails a lot of different types, like a child petitioning, mom or dad, or a spouse petitioning their wife. I also do 245I adjustments as well. So, yeah, and I do U visas as well.
That's lovely. So tell
Mhm.
us, with all your experience so far and with everything that we're seeing currently, what are the trends that you're seeing in the immigration law right now? And what would be your advice to people who are in the process?
So, unlike what people are, I know that it's always kind of like bad stuff in the news, but I feel like a lot of the field offices are being very efficient, at least here in LA, where
Hmm.
they're being efficient in the sense that things are getting adjudicated pretty quickly. Because when we file for like a naturalization, we get an appointment, like an interview date with like, less than 5 or 6 months from
Yes,
applying.
yes,
So, that's really good
yes, for
timing.
sure. Yep.
And the green card process as well for an adjustment between 6 to 10 months is pretty good.
Yeah,
At
yeah,
least those things are getting adjudicated. So unlike what people say, oh, now is not a bad time to apply, I say the opposite. I think it's a good time to apply to be a citizen. It's a
yeah,
good time to apply for your adjustment of status and, become a legal permanent resident.
yeah. I would agree. I applied for my naturalization last year in May,
Mm-hmm.
and by September, I was a citizen.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Which is so like 4 months from like
Mm-hmm.
applying to, getting it. Like my interview was in August, I believe. No, I got the interview date in August and then I had my interview in September. So it moved pretty fast.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, it is.
like
It's
in
moving
four
pretty
months, I was a citizen. Yeah. So I
quick.
agree.
But
So
the
go
test
ahead.
is getting a little harder, I felt.
Yes.
The last time I went to the interview, I felt like it got more difficult from the previous interview that I had went to.
I see.
It did get more difficult as far as the types of questions they were asking. The writing and the reading were a
I
little
see.
more difficult, but it's still doable.
Yeah, it's doable. Yeah. So for me, I think, you have the set of 100 questions that you get on the website too. They pretty much ask me this one of the same, one of those 100 questions to like read and write. Like the question to read was the same thing, one that they picked from the 100, and the answer to write was also the answer to that specific question they ask you about. You got to get like what, seven, six right? Six or
Mhm.
seven right?
Yes, you have
Yeah,
to get 6 right. So you only
six
have
right.
to get
Yeah.
a B. You only have to barely pass.
Yes, yes. And they ask you like, yeah, 10 questions. So you can do it. You can do it. Definitely doable. So, what advice would you give immigrants, children of immigrants, or aspiring attorneys who want to make an impact?
To make an impact, I think it's good to know your story really well because every story has its own uniqueness.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And everybody has a different set of experiences that could be helpful to somebody one day. Now that like I mentor people, like when I tell people my story, there's always a couple of people in the crowd who are like, I'm going through the same thing. Like I feel like
Right.
just for like one thing bad, one thing after another, and like, what do I do?
Right.
And so there's always somebody there who can resonate with that. So someday you will be someone's answered prayer.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yes.
like, I get clients all the time. They're like, "Oh, I went through, so many attorneys and they didn't do nothing on my case." And then, they finally like meet me and things are just moving. And like, we have these receipts already in because like cases are just getting filed.
Yes.
And then they're like, "Yeah, this is what I was praying for." So know that what you're going through, the season that you're in right now, God will always turn around for its good.
Amen.
Yes.
Yes, for sure. For sure. So, before we let you go,
Mhm.
let me ask you the question that I ask most of my guests.
Mhm.
What does the American dream mean to you today?
The American dream, what it means is whatever you want it to be.
Yes.
Whatever you want it to be, because everybody has a different dream on how that looks like. And you got to do what brings you joy.
Well, thank you so much for being here today and sharing your wisdom and your experience and your story with us, which is, like you said, could be somebody's answered prayer.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for
Thank
your
you.
time.
Thank you.
My pleasure. As we close this inspiring conversation with Jocabed, one thing becomes clear. Behind every immigration case is a human story, a dream, and a future worth fighting for. Jocabed reminds us that success is not just about understanding the law, it's about understanding people and helping them navigate life changing opportunities with confidence. And if you're building a business, law practice, personal brand, or professional platform and need support behind the scenes, I'm here to help you. I create strategic high converting websites that establish credibility and authority, helping your positioning and messaging, provide podcast management services that amplify your voice, and offer team and operational support as your business grows. Because growth is easier when you have the right systems, strategy, and support. This is Anisha Jennings reminding you that your American dream is built through courage, persistence, and the people who help guide the way. Until next time. Thank you for tuning into Your American Dream. I hope this episode left you feeling inspired and ready to take on the world. Remember when I first landed in the US, lost and overwhelmed? Well, look at us now. We're building our dreams together. Your story matters, and I'm so honored to be a part of it. If you enjoyed our chat today, please spread the love. Rate, review, and share. Let's grow this amazing community of dreamers together. Want more? Catch my daily doses of inspiration on my Instagram at Jennings Tech Corner. Also, check out the show notes for more ways to connect. Remember, your accent is the voice of your ambition. Your background is your superpower. Let's dream big and achieve bigger. Until then, this is Anisha cheering you every step of the way.